Welcome to GACC South Unplugged, a transatlantic conversation with CEO Matthias Hoffman. I'm your moderator, Mike Salmon, and I'm happy to welcome our host, Matthias. Good morning, Matthias. How are you?
Good morning, Mike. Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing great, Matthias, and I'm excited about today's guest and today's show, so I'll go ahead and give you the honor of introducing our special guest.
We have the President and CEO of Mercedes-Benz USA today with us, Dimitris Psillakis, who happens to be also the Vice Chairman of our chamber. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Matthias, and good morning to you, Michael.
Dimitris, how was your summer? I know that we share a certain common history. You are Greek. I was living in Greece for a lot of years. Did you spend a good time in Greece during summer?
I would challenge you, Matthias, and probably switch to Greek, but that would be not fair with the audience.
Right? We can try. We have a couple of listeners, I know for sure, in Athens. So, καλημέρα, Δημήτρη. Τι κάνεις?
Είμαι καλά και χαίρομαι γιατί τα ελληνικά σου είναι πάρα πολύ καλά.
Μπράβο. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Να αλλάξουμε ξανά γιατί ο Μιχάλης εδώ δεν μας καταλαβαίνει μάλλον. Mike doesn't understand a single word, but he's smiling at least.
No.
So happy to be here, Matthias, and yes, I'm Greek. You asked about my summer. You know, the summers in Greece are extremely vibrant, but I was not like this year. I only spent 1 week in Greece, very early July. I had a good time, but not as much as I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I had a hot summer, mostly in Atlanta. Busy times and a lot to do in the market.
I went 3 weeks to Greece. You know, my wife is Greek, so we spent a good amount of time in Greece. And now relaxed and energized back here in Atlanta. But winter's coming, right? It's gloomy. It's almost cold out here, huh? Isn't it?
The good thing with Greece is that we live 4 seasons. So winters are winters, but mild winters, I would say. So you get snow up in the mountains, but not much in the cities or in the southern part of Greece. We have a hot summer, but why not? You have plenty of beaches and sea all around us, 3,000 plus islands, so there's always a place to go. So living all 4 seasons in Greece, I actually miss.
So living in Atlanta, though, we don't have those beaches here, so what's it been like for you?
Look, you don't have the beaches, but you have rivers, you have lakes, you have boats in the lake, so you can simulate a little bit a Greek summer life. And same time, Atlanta has 4 seasons, right? I mean, now it's getting a little bit colder in the evenings, but it's nice. You can stay and sit outside, and soon leaves are turning yellow, red. So it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time of the year.
If you had the choice, so you can decide where you go on vacation, next vacation, would you go to the Hamptons or Hilton Head Island, or would you go to Mykonos, Santorini?
If I would go to Greece, I would go to a more calm and less visited island, right? I'm not after the touristy places, and they're beautiful little islands where you can have nice life, good food, and relax and enjoy. So not Mykonos, not Santorini. I would go to Milos, I would go to Sifnos, I would go to Serifos. I can give you plenty of names, and you know what I'm talking about. But if I would be if I could choose US, which I do a lot, I would probably pick up a place in the Mexican Gulf, because their waters are warmer, right? And if it's not a stormy or typhoon season, they're beautiful places and even a little bit calmer than the Atlantic side.
Totally agree.
Okay, well, I'm going to get right to it. I'm just going to go ahead and ask, what type of Mercedes do you drive?
Mike, I'm privileged. I can choose whichever car I want to drive. So actually now, these days, I'm driving a plug-in hybrid. It's the new GLC 350 plug-in hybrid. It's the vehicle which offers the highest range on electric drive. To be absolutely fair, I've been driving the car since yesterday. I have not run into the gasoline engine. I was only on electric. I have done already 32 miles, and I have another 25 to go according to the clock. So it's a great car. You have the best of 2 worlds. You can drive long distances. You don't have to worry, where should I charge, right? But at the same time, for your city drives, for your everyday commuting, you can always run fully electric, and you can charge at home in the evening, or because it's both DC and AC charging, so you can charge on a fast charger, or you can charge on at home on an AC plug. So it's a great car. But I have the chance to drive some great cars also, obviously.
Yeah. We're diving right into the $1 million question, EV or internal combustion engine, right? So where do you see the development?
I would say that at the moment we're basically on a 2-lane strategy. We continue investing on internal combustion engine and developing our vehicles further. We have publicly shared that well going into the 2030s, we'll offer internal combustion engine as also battery electric vehicles. We'll be in this country with the V8s, which Americans love, the sound and the performance of our V8. So this is here to stay for long or into the 2030s. But at the same time, we're spending and developing electric vehicles. We have, at the moment, already 5 passenger cars in the market. The 6th one is coming, the electric G-Class. So the iconic G-Class is getting electrified also. We have also an electric Sprinter, which is also produced in the US. So we're full into electric and technologies. But again, we're here to offer what the customer wants. So electric cars, yes. ICE, yes. And bridge technology, plug-in hybrids, which is a little bit more complex. You have 2 drivetrains, right, on the vehicle, but you have all options in your hand.
Right. Do you see, from the customer view, still range anxiety? I mean, I looked it up. The EQS has like 340 miles range, right? That's not bad, actually. Charging speed, charging network. I mean, we got our coffees just from Starbucks. And tell us a little bit about the story of your charging network.
Starting from your question, this comes up every time, whether I'm on a discussion, an interview, or with customers, is, yes, how far can I go with my electric vehicle? Where can I charge? How fast can I charge? And these are the 3, I would say, challenges that we as automotive and an innovative, a leading automotive manufacturer, which we have invented the automobile, we try to respond and we try to be leaders on that one. So when it comes to range anxiety, I think today vehicles are offering anything between, a decent EV is offering, I think, between 250, 260 and 350 miles of range, which is not bad if you consider the distance you do, and normally you never drive longer than 4 hours without a stop, right? And when it comes to charging, our vehicles can charge in any public charging station, whether it is a level 2, level 3, so low or high speed charger. And we as a brand are also going down to build and offer our own charging stations. So we have our Mercedes-Benz branded charging stations. The first one being, and you were there at the inauguration in Sandy Springs in our headquarters. We offer the fastest charging station in the US at 400 volts. Not only you can charge your vehicle, but you have the chance to sit in the lounge, use the restroom, and while you're charging, for the time you stay there, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever, you can have a decent environment to sit and do your emails or whatever.
In 20 minutes, you get 70-80% already?
Yes, on a fast charge, you can get 80% charge in 20 minutes, and this is quite good, I would say. Plus, on Mercedes-Benz chargers, you have the chance to book or reserve your charging station. So through the vehicle mobile app or through the vehicle screen, you can already book and reserve the charging station, adjusting to the time you need to reach there. So this is a convenience, and we're building 400 of these stations around the North America, mostly where the customers are driving their vehicles. So that means not only where you live and where you work. And by the way, 80% of the charging is happening at home or at work. Only 20% is happening on a fast charger somewhere in a public place. But beyond that, we jointly with another 6 brands, we're building also a private charging network, which is going to be open to all brands, obviously, with 20,000 charging spots around the country. So we are into charging, so not offering and selling electric vehicles, but also supporting the customer when it comes to charging. And as we said, in 20 minutes you can charge the vehicle, but the next generation, we're working on much faster charging times and longer range. So stay tuned. We'll come with products which will take some of this anxiety further out.
Do you see carbon emission targets? Do you have anxiety because of that?
Look, I think all of us, we work and we're very conscious of our environment, right? And we want to live as less CO2 footprint as possible. We as a company have committed to be a CO2 neutral company globally by 2039. And we're very consequent on this target. That means, to give you an example, the charging station we have built here in Sandy Springs has a solar canopy on top, creating out of solar energy out of solar power creating energy. So we try to basically offset. We try to charge our vehicles with clean energy from different sources. And if this is not possible directly, we offset it with other trades that we have. So we're committed to a CO2 neutral footprint as a company. It's a long way to go. Lots of efforts are happening in production, in supply management, with our suppliers, with our sources, with our dealers in distribution. So it's a very complex way, but we're fully into that.
Right. Your footprint here in the US with Mercedes, I would call it the alphabet soup. We have MB USA, MB USI, MB Vans.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit how that works? Because, I mean, here in Atlanta, you have the headquarters, but then you have manufacturing facilities in Alabama, in the Carolinas.
Yes. So we were a global company out of Stuttgart, right, which is your homeland and home city, but we're basically present in every continent. In the US, we're extremely strong. We have the sales and marketing organization, which I'm leading for North America, which we have our headquarters in Atlanta. But we have also different locations, vehicle preparation centers, parts delivery centers, training or learning centers, as we call them, throughout the countries in different states. We have our production facility for passenger cars, both ICE and electric vehicles in Tuscaloosa in Alabama. By the way, we have also a battery factory. We have a Vans. The Sprinter is produced in the U.S. Also, the electric Sprinter is produced in the U.S. in Charleston, in South Carolina. We have our research and development center up in San Francisco, but also different facilities, design centers in different parts of the country. And we have our Mercedes-Benz Financial Services, which is our captive financing part. Our bank, as I call it, right? It's financing both customers and our dealers, which is based in Farmington Hills in Michigan. But we have also operations in Texas. So we're basically, I would say, all over the country with our operations. So we don't only offer what you see, the vehicles in the market through our dealer network in the US, but we design, we develop, we test, we produce, and we sell. We finance and we sell in the US.
And I feel that
it's a big footprint.
Yes, and you're a lot on the road or on airplanes. I mean, Dimitris is vice chairman of our German-American Chamber of Commerce here in the southern United States, and we have our Jour Fixes, and it's hard to get a hold of him, of course, because he's so busy and so much traveling. So how does is there an everyday life that you have, or is every day is different and you're traveling and taking care of other things?
It takes a lot of effort to balance travels, face-to-face meetings, and also, what is my responsibility also, I'm the link to headquarters, so also balance my time with headquarters for whatever we need to discuss, decide, or board meetings that I have over there. And we have a 6 hours difference, right? So that's also a challenge. But the good thing of the pandemic, we came up with a different approach of doing business, right? Much of what we do today, I mean, look on how we communicate, or when we have our Jour Fixes or our meetings, it's virtual meetings, right? Which was not the case if you go back 5 years.
Sure.
There was much less virtual, maybe some calls and whatever, but much less over the air and much more physical. So this has changed, that has facilitated life. But on the other hand, it has extended also the hours and the time of the day. So I must say I travel, but probably I travel less long distance as I used to travel 4 or 5 years back, because now I can do these meetings in a nice office environment on big screens and with my coffee in hand. Although I'm in a different time zone, right? Which means my meetings sometimes start 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's 8 o'clock in Germany, where a board meeting would start. So there's a trade. But I do find my balance again.
Okay. And you've been with the company for a long time, right? I mean, looking at your career steps, Greece, Korea, Brazil, Canada, US, Germany to some part as well. So which country did you like the most? I hear that Korea, some love it, some hate it, right? Was it good?
I loved every place I've been. But you have to see every place from a different angle, understanding their culture, understand what makes them tick and what you should adapt to be happy in the country you are. So if you go with the mentality of a Brazilian to live in South Korea, you'll suffer.
Right.
Other way around also, if you go to Korean approach and culture and the way you see things, to live in Brazil, you'll be miserable, right? So I think something which we as Greeks, and you lived in Greece for 15 years, more or less, we are flexible, we adapt, we open-minded. Also, we live a lot out of tourism, so speaking languages is not difficult. So that helped me very much adapt and love these environments. If you ask me what would be for me the ideal place and country, I would say I would love to be in a country where I would have the discipline and the hard working mindsets of the Koreans, very much result oriented. Give me the targets and the way, and I'll give you the results. But have the lifestyle, the optimism, the happiness, the extrovertness of the Brazilians. That would be for me the best land. But as you know, you cannot have everything.
Sure,
right?
sure.
So I got a lot. I learned a lot in my stints in this part of the world.
So that's kind of like the culture in the country. Is what about the company culture? I mean, when I look at what Mercedes-Benz is doing now, in the past I saw brand ambassadors of Mercedes-Benz were, golfers usually. Now we went to an event in the stadium where we got Ludacris, our famous local rapper as a brand ambassador. Yes. I think it looks to me like the brand is changing and probably your customers are too.
I wouldn't say the brand is changing. I would say always the focus of a brand should be the customer, right? And we should deliver, design, produce, deliver products which fits the customer needs and the customer lifestyle. And maybe you're right in the sense that if you look back at the company 20, 30, 50 years back, we're balancing more towards the engineering sides and less towards the customer and the environment. I think today you have a better balance between what the customer needs and what the engineers, based on the customer requirements, can deliver always on a top notch, or always with this little sprinkle of innovation of being first. So this balance is there. But again, our customers like music, like sports, like outdoor activities. So we adjust to that and we bring products which fit them best.
Yep. So in terms of customers, you oversee North America. Which are the regions where people buy the most Mercedes? Is it California mainly or other?
I would say one thing I learned being in the US now 4 years, and I have gone well around the country. We have 385 stores, I think. Visited half of them at least. It's not a uniform country. Whether the weather plays the difference, or whether the lifestyle plays the difference, or whether demographics play the difference, it's countries within a country. So to answer your question on a high level, without going into too much details, I think Californians are more into electric cars for sure. It's the number one electric vehicle markets, along with a couple of other states. High percentage of battery electric vehicles in the state, but at the same time, a lot of cabriolets, a lot of more lifestyleish vehicles, I would say. So California, yes, is our biggest market. But if you go to the Northeast, it's always more SUVs. It's more obviously 4x4s, not 4x2s. We don't have so many cabriolets. You come to the South, you come to Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, so South Carolina, you have, again, more 4x2s, more cabriolets, so more sedans, right? So you see differences around the country. It's a market which is also, US is the number one AMG market in the world. So although US is selling, all in all, less vehicles than China, so China is our biggest market. But on the other hand, US is the biggest market when it comes to performance vehicles, right? So these are the difference you can note.
When you think of Mercedes-Benz, you think of innovation, and we've talked about the electric vehicles. What's coming ahead? What innovations is Mercedes looking at that you can share with us?
I think on a high level, again, the areas where we have been innovating and will bring some, I think, in the future also some firsts, is the area of systems which assist the driver.
Almost like autonomous driving, self-driving?
Yes, almost, yeah. We're working towards a fully autonomous vehicle, right, which will not have a steering wheel. That would be a fully autonomous vehicle, right? It's a vehicle which will have only 4 wheels, not a
No
fifth wheel.
steering wheel.
Yes. But even today, we are the ones which were first in the world. There's no other brand which has a level 3 automated driving. We call it Drive Pilot. Under certain conditions, we have vehicles in the markets in California and Nevada, which are the 2 states which have given us the approval, and in Germany, we have that, where our vehicles can drive autonomously in the freeways under certain conditions, but we take over the responsibility. So the driver gets the hands off the wheel, right? The eyes off the roads, and the vehicle is driving while he's responding on his emails or watching a YouTube clip or talking on the phone or whatever. So this is a world first also. But there's more to come in this direction. I think we're moving in Germany. We're close to raising the speed of autonomous driving to 135 kilometers, right, in the freeways. So there are developments to come in this direction. Plus, when it comes to electric vehicles, the range is an issue. You know that we have the world record on obviously an experimental and a concept car, which drove for over 1,000 kilometers on a single charge. And this technology is coming on the roads in 2026, 25 and 26 with our next generation MMA, CLA and whatever.
What type of relationship does a company like yours have with the oil, fossil fuel companies?
We are producing vehicles, right? We're not producing energy, and we are addressing the challenges that regulators are putting ahead of us. And there are regulations now valid for Europe, valid for the US, 2035, zero emission vehicles will be allowed to drive in some states or in some parts of the world. Take Europe, for example, as a whole, right? Take California, take 11 states which have committed to zero emission vehicles in 2035. So we have to address that. So you cannot get zero emissions out of fossil fuel. There's always going to be a CO2 coming out of your exhaust pipe. So we need technologies which will deliver on this target. So consequent to that, we're delivering on producing battery electric vehicles. Now, obviously, this industry also is reacting to that, but I'm not in a position to say how they're addressing this issue. But we're not in competition.
Obviously, you have what I think a lot of people would say is a really cool job being the CEO of Mercedes-Benz USA. But as a little kid growing up in Greece, what did you want to do? I'm thinking maybe you wanted to be a football star, probably like every little kid. What were your aspirations as a younger you, and how did you end up getting to where you are today?
So I'll make it short, and I'll start from the end. So I never have dreamed that I would be the CEO of Mercedes-Benz in USA. But I have my dreams when I was 16 years old, choosing my career, what to do and follow in my life. I decided not to follow the profession of my parents. Both my parents were medical doctors, and in Greece, tradition is basically the apple falls below the apple tree, right? So people tend to follow the safe way of going under the wings of the family. I decided no. I was attracted by technology. Don't forget, in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, technology was booming with PCs coming up, with television and color television, and. So I said, I want to go into the electronics field. I diverted a little bit studying medical electronic engineering, trying to get closer to technology of my parents' profession, and I loved it. I worked a few years in this industry, but my dream was always to work for a multinational company in the medical field, yes, because that's what I studied, and I had the opportunity to work for Mercedes-Benz because there was no opportunity for me to work in the big medical electronic companies like GE, Philips, Siemens in Greece at that time. I had to go back to Greece for my military service. And I switched to Mercedes-Benz. And my dream was coming true, multinational company, and I was dreaming of being the CEO of Mercedes-Benz in Greece, maybe somewhere in Europe in a medium-sized country. That was my dream. But taking the steps out of Greece, so reaching the first step in Greece and then said, okay, now what next? I moved out. I have not dreamed of going to Brazil. I was looking still for a next CEO job somewhere in Europe. But when Brazil came up, I said, okay, why not? And then if you go so far out, Southern Hemisphere, different world, then obviously opportunities start opening up. And that's what led me to the job I do today, which is a dream job, which I enjoy very much, but obviously was not on my dreams when I was 16 years old, I tell you.
But it's come full circle, because when you were 16, you wanted to be in technology, and people today will say these cars are more like computers than they are automobiles.
I couldn't agree more to what you are saying. Today, we say it's basically a car is a computer on wheels, right?
But it also needs to be attractive, right, to the customer. I mean, we were both at the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, and they blocked the whole strip there and did the G-Wagon 720 turn. So that's pretty cool, too.
I mean, this is where I think our company, you said before, what are the next first to come from Mercedes-Benz? We invented the automobile, right? 140 years more or less back. And we have so many inventions over the years, airbags, ABS, ESP, you name it. So I think now with the G-Class, nobody would have expected an iconic product with 40 plus years of life could be electrified, right? But we did it.
Yep.
And we did it by basically keeping the whole iconic design the same sound of closing the door, which is the same for 40 years, right? But putting in all the technology that any other car have today, plus 4 electric motors, 1 per wheel, which gives you the chance to have this tank turn, right? So turning 360 or 720 at the press of a button.
Going back to Atlanta here now, so I think every Atlantan who's a little bit into sports, of course, goes to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Do you utilize it also for internal events? I think I see sometimes on LinkedIn that you utilize it as well to have internal meetings and whatnot.
I would say the stadium, and not because it's a Mercedes-Benz stadium, but the stadium as such is a jewel for Atlanta, right? It's from a design point of view, from the area which is being built and what is around there. It's a focal point of not only the sports life of Atlanta, but also the entertainment, the lifestyle of Atlanta. So happy to be there, happy to have the stadium. And yes, we make use as much as possible. And when there are gaps, because it's a very busy stadium with soccer matches, football matches, lots of concerts and meetings. Actually, last week, we had there a big meeting. The whole of MB USA was there in the field for a 2 days meeting, which was around attitude, around developing our people more to address the challenges of our times. The challenge that the industry is facing, the challenge that we face as Mercedes-Benz, moving to the future with all what we discussed, technology change, digitalization, but more, how can we address all of us, the customer demands and the changing customer demands. So were there 2 days in the stadium. Our title logo of the meeting was Choice to Lead, and it was a great event. Yes, you can follow it up on LinkedIn. Nice. We posted some of the stuff we did there, but it was good, and people felt proud. And I said when I made the opening, I said, guys, this is our second home. Our first home is Sandy Springs, 1MB, our headquarters. Right. Our second home is the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
How many people do you employ in Sandy Springs, in the headquarters?
Sandy Springs, we have about 850 people, all in all. But all in all, in the US and North America, as Mercedes-Benz USA, we have close to 2,000 people.
We hosted a couple of chamber events at the Sandy Springs headquarters. Fantastic facility. It's really awesome. Yeah.
I can get Mike next time. We'll have a studio there to host his...
the Mercedes-Benz studio.
The Mercedes-Benz studio, exactly.
We can make it happen.
No, I'm not joking. That you can do.
Good. No, and Dimitris, you have been... So now you're a vice chairman here of our chamber, but you have also been active in other German bilateral chambers across the world. So what do you get out of it, or why do you do that? I mean, yes, you have a very busy life and a very busy working life, so we really appreciate that you take time out of your busy schedule, but what drives you there, or what do you see in us as a chamber?
I always approach it from 2 angles, right? On one hand, purely from a business point of view, Mercedes-Benz is one of the top, you can say 5-10 German companies, so it's our responsibility to be part of the business community of whichever place of the world we have a presence and a strong presence. So take US, MB USA is an entity who have a 30+ billion turnover as a company. So we're fundamental for US and for the German chamber. Same in in South Korea. The other angle, though, is the social part of it, right? We have also, as a company, as a brand, as a corporation, we have a social responsibility, and that goes hand in hand with our business responsibilities. So engaging with the local chamber, we engage with the business community, we engage with the economic community, further out from the German companies in the country or in the states that we operate. And last but not least, obviously, it's a way to jump into a new job, jump into a new country, to meet new people, to get to know better the ways business is done, the do's and don'ts, right? So I think it's great having such organizations, and it's a great support for new people, expats coming into a country, getting to know both the business world, the economic environments, the fellow companies, and meet the people socially.
I think, Mike, that's pretty interesting what Dimitris said here about the chamber, because sometimes, we have to look at it from a very different angle, kind of like, as a Chamber of Commerce, who do we serve? We can bring probably the biggest value add to Mittelstand companies, small and medium-sized German companies entering the market, and then we deliver a lot of services and membership benefits and whatnot, and then we still have, of course, the big companies. We just ran a survey again, or I ran a little bit of an analysis. How many times Mercedes and Siemens and BASF are represented on our boards. So those big companies are, of course, of crucial importance for us as well. And I think it's very interesting to see that the common denominator is utilizing us as a networking platform, especially for new persons getting to know the network, because we have so many members and so many events in our networks, but also then, for newcomers like you to gain market information as well.
Absolutely. Of course, on the other hand, since I'm engaged with the chamber, and I was engaged in Korea, less in Brazil, but also they're visible, it takes time also. But I think this is also, again, responsibility to engage, both take and give.
And we're working with Mercedes across, the southern United States, in Alabama, of course. And I think Mercedes left a huge footprint there in Alabama. I think that this investment was of crucial importance. We're doing now our virtual tour of the southern United States, kind of like bringing German companies that are looking at the US market in terms of market entry, but cannot travel 11 states here in the South, basically. So we bring them a virtual tour, and with the Secretary of Commerce of Alabama and with a couple of companies, kind of as testimonials, what they can expect, how investment situation is, how you can build up a company. So that's coming up for us. And obviously we don't take as a testimonial Mercedes, because, it's not relatable to a lot of those SMEs. If Mercedes says like, hey, we just invested and did our thing here, a lot of smaller sized companies will say like, okay, hey, that's nice that Mercedes can do that, but for us it's a very different situation. But that's coming up in Alabama for us, and then in South Carolina, where you produce the vans and the sprinters, basically. We have our Gateway Awards coming up actually next week. So that's an award that goes to German or American companies that left a huge footprint, either in terms of investment or community engagement. And in 2024, Mercedes-Benz Vans, so Axel Benz and his team, they won the award.
Well, we are over 60 years in the US as a sales organization. We have Tuscaloosa in Alabama over 25 years as a factory producing vehicles which are not only produced for the local market, but exported all over the world. So the SUVs, it's the only factory we have for the big SUVs, GLEs, GLS, EQE, EQS SUV. And we have the Charleston factory also for sprinters since 10 years, more or less. So it's long-term base that we have in the US in all fields.
Right, and if I look at the management board of Mercedes-Benz, there's a lot of people that had some stops in Tuscaloosa or in Vans, basically, who made it there. Ola Carlin is one of them, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we talk now about Alabama and the Carolinas with the manufacturing facilities, but of course a large chunk of the work that you do is, of course, managing the dealer networks. How is that different now from Europe? I think you have very different approaches, right?
Yeah, we are basically a wholesale organization, right? What we discussed before with our different locations around the US, parts delivery centers and vehicle preparation centers and learning centers and whatever, it's part of our support mechanism for our dealer network. Our customer facing parts is the dealer network. So we have 385 stores around the country serving our customers. They employ around 30,000 people, which are trained by us, certified by us in the different functions of sales, of servicing vehicles, diagnosing, whatever. They are crucial for keeping us moving and running. There are people and operations which go back 60, 65 years, right, from father to son. And we have big groups, multi-brand groups. We have smaller private groups, but we have also individual owners and stores around the country who run the business very much with their heart, and we're very, very, very thankful to what they do for us on a daily basis. I think they face the same challenges as we face because customer style and demand is changing. The customer today is much more educated than used to be 10, 15 years ago, using technology, Googling and collecting information. So in order for them to be relevant, in order for them to be competitive and different to Europe, what you said, they need to go also through a lot of changes. Again, in training their people, upskilling the personnel they have, upgrading their facilities to be more digital, right? Less vehicles parked in lots, but more vehicles which they can build on screens and show to their customers. Plus, competition is tough because we have obviously in our business newcomers, brands which were not there before, especially on the electric vehicle markets. They come in a market which is basically the same. The market size is not changing, right? So that gives us the responsibility to develop together with our dealers to be more aggressive, to be more updated, to be more, I would say, relevant to what the customers want and ask.
Mike framed it before as computers on wheels. So back in the days, I had my computer at home, and when it was broken, I had to put it in a trunk, drive to a store, and get it repaired, right? So now, over-the-air updates, how does that influence your dealers? Because in the end, okay, if I drive my Mercedes and there's an electrical issue and stuff, okay, it's connected to my Wi-Fi or to my network, and I'll just push a button and it fixes itself, isn't it?
Yes, but still the vehicle has some mechanical components.
Right. It's not going to change your tires.
Not
Exactly.
yet.
You need a new tire.
Also, you cannot change the oil over the air, right? So you still have to call in a store. So I would say it's a mix of the two worlds. There are lots of stuff which can happen over the air, like the updates you have on your mobile phone, right? Which overnight, they call it updates. It's bug fixing, basically, right? So obviously, we can do some bug fixing and some updates over the air. And even the customer can purchase updates which make their products more relevant throughout this life cycle, right? When it comes to navigation systems, when it comes to communications, to apps that he can operate from his screen, right? This can be purchased over the air, which add value to the vehicle and keep it always young, right? But still, you have to step on a workshop to change the tires, to fix a mechanical failure, to do the maintenance that is needed, to change your wiper blades, right? So this is always necessary. So I would say it's a blend of the two, but for sure, when a vehicle enters a workshop, the first thing which happens is it goes on what we call start diagnosis, right? Where we get all the information of what has failed or what has malfunctioned on the vehicle, and that's where the maintenance and where the fixings start.
Right.
So you need this technology.
Yeah.
And the training behind for the people to diagnose the problems on the vehicles.
Exactly, and that's where we are talking after the show, which we're going to wrap up, about training needs. Because
Are you hiring computer engineers or are you hiring mechanics?
No, but
both.
In
Both.
the end, you know that our chamber offers this German apprenticeship system, here in the market, and looking at the new educational needs, the new needs probably also of your dealers in terms of high voltage electricians, etc. That could very much fit to the German educational model of apprenticeships here in the US.
That's what we call nowadays mechatronic, right? You need these skills blended. Plus, what has emerged now with electric vehicles, we need technicians which are trained to handle high voltage networks, right?
Great. No, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule here, Dimitris, for us. So it was a great discussion. Mike, any last words from you?
No, bravo. That was very, very interesting. I want to know if you need an assistant to work with you, because that is just a very cool job. And I'm sure for you to get up every morning, it's just exciting to get up and attack the day.
First of all, thank you for hosting me here. It was pleasure and fun exchanging with you in this environment, what's going on. And Mike, I do have a job if you want to apply for any technician job, right, in the workshop. These are jobs which are in high demands, and we need also some skills on technology, which I'm sure you have out of what you run here.
Okay, thank you very much. And in Greek, ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ, Dimitri.
Paragalo, it was a pleasure.
Thank you to our listeners of GACC South Unplugged, a transatlantic conversation with CEO Matthias Hoffman. We'll see you next time.